Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Christelle Martinette. And before I start my July readings, I just want to say, it'll take me about 5 minutes, a few words about dimensions and about the work we do as readers, how it's done, how it's actually done. I've been hearing a lot of people in YouTube throwing around the word Akashic Records and Akashic Records readings, the Tree of Life, and so on. It seems that these are the latest watchwords of the day. But to be able to address a wide audience, because YouTube indeed does address a wide audience, it may be helpful to dispel a lot of the confusion, to clarify a lot of things by explaining where we actually get our information and how. So to do that, I'm going to take a multidimensional perspective. Many spiritual traditions and teachers talk about 10 different dimensions of existence. The equations in physics that are put forth by this theory called superstring theory talks about 10 dimensions of existence. So what is that? Superstring theory is an attempt to explain all of the particles and fundamental forces of nature in one only theory by modeling them as vibrations of tiny supersymmetric strings, tiny energy strings. You hear us often mention when we say our vibrational rate. This is what we refer to. And in the soul work and the soul therapy I do, I've personally always considered there to be 10 dimensions of existence for the soul, with an added to the 11th and the 12th dimension existences reserved to other supernatural beings, or we can call them spirits, we can call them celestial beings, we can call them divine messengers or angels and archangels. And especially recently, could be 10 years, but recently, specifically 2-3 last years, the dimensional levels of our being that we're able to access personally from this dimension, this third dimension, because I'm speaking to you from the third dimensional incarnation with my flesh and blood and bones, we've increased our ability greatly over this past few years of how we access higher regions. We're more and more able to conceive of the choices that we make and the choices that express who we are at the soul level. We're more and more aware of our individuality, that in theory, at least, we also get to be exactly who we are in theory, rather than having to follow some, society norm or convention or cultural norm. But this is not true, of course, for all parts of the world, all parts of the planet, because many people, however, though, are opening up to living by their own unique rules today. And as our thoughts align to who we are at soul level, we can receive then more information and guidance from upper dimensional aspects of our beings at the level of mind. So each of us, however, has an aspect at every single dimensional level. Each of us not only has a third dimensional person, but we have also a fourth and a fifth dimensional person. We're fourth and fifth dimensional beings. We also have an aspect that is sixth dimensional, seventh dimensional, and so on. But while we may not exactly be actively working within these planes, we already exist there. Think of the various dimensions as a cake, a layer cake. They're all one, it's a cake, and they're not separate from one another. They're all in one cake, and all the dimensions are layered one on top of another, and they exist at the same time, exist simultaneously. And every dimension affects another dimensions. Things that happen in one dimension affects other dimensions. And this is why spiritual evolution takes place through our experiences in this third dimension. But, and this is the trick, this density, this third dimension is very dense. Its physical experience is very dense. It makes it the dimension that most affects every other dimensional aspect of our existence. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to affect physical matter. Far more greater energy than it takes to think, for example. Our choices here in this third dimension affect our soul's vibration rate by either aligning to our divine self-expression or not. And the denser the dimension, the more profoundly all other dimensions are affected. And while at a less dense dimension, such as the fifth dimension, where we do clearing work, where I clear work for people, definitely has an effect on a denser dimension as a fourth or third, it takes more time for this effect to take place, and it is more subtle, depending on how self-aware, and this is the proviso, depending on how self-aware we are at these upper dimensional levels of existence. But it's important to think of the different dimensions as different perspective of our being. Dimensions are different from each other, but at a higher, I just want to mention that a higher dimension is not superior to the lower dimensions. They simply have different energetic qualities. And as a soul therapist, I do clearing at the fifth dimensional level in order to affect a person's entire being. And the Akashic records, that word thrown around so much, those are located also at the fifth dimension. The soul vibration rate of a person indicates to us what dimension we are primarily receiving guidance and information from, what dimensional aspect we would identify with as our higher self. While we talk about higher and lower vibration rates, that's what it refers to. So if we live our divine self-expression, we actually have the opportunity to embody our higher dimensional aspects within this human experience. This makes it possible then to access our records, Akashic records, whatever you want to call them, or rather, information of your soul's blueprint, your soul's history. And since all psychics, like myself, can really tap into great stores of energetic information, you can understand that it's really fundamental for you to work with someone you can trust. It's all about love as well, and how they can give love. And as we evolve further, you will begin to be fascinated as your vibrational rate becomes higher. You'll become fascinated with relationships and how our interdependence as humans affects our spiritual evolution. And you'll feel a natural desire to engage with others and serve others through the purpose that you have here. And at the same time, you'll want to engage with whole groups rather than individuals, hence the idea of giving seminars. And your method of manifestation will also change as you evolve. At first, we can manifest or channel information that moves us into action. Basically, we receive guidance on what to do in order to create the outcome that we want. And this is fifth dimensional vibration rate. And as we evolve in time, we begin to draw experiences to ourselves by shifting our states of being, usually through action. And that occurs at the upper fifth dimensional and the lower sixth dimensional rate. And eventually we manifest what we want by manifesting the relationships with others that our soul wants to experience, or by manifesting the relationship we have with ourselves. And this occurs at upper sixth dimension and seventh dimension vibration rate. I hope that these 5-6 minutes have made it a bit clearer for you, because once you evolve spiritually, and we help you do that, you yourself can benefit from tapping into different dimensions, thus receiving directly the guidance you want. That spirit guide team reading that I mentioned on my website, that's what it's all about, becoming in tune to your higher self. Now off to the July readings. Hi Gemini friends, it's your turn now. It's your turn. It's your turn. I'm going to use here the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot first, and then I have the Angel Tarot deck and my Vida Sibila deck, along with the runes that I'll be casting at the end to crown the spread. Let's take a look what's in store for you. These have been previously shuffled, so I just wanted to give it another go. Okay, Gemini friends, July will be a month that will challenge you. It will challenge you because you're open for suggestions. You're letting yourself open, and not in a negative way, but you are open. You're seeing the month of July as wanting to try something different, but not too different because maybe that won't be so good for you. You're thinking, um, and you're thinking a lot, especially in the beginning of the month, and you're wanting to experience new things, but at the same time you're holding on for dear life because you want to. Um, it's trepidation. That's the word comes to mind. Trepidation, because it's as if um, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, in the Wizard of Oz, you're going through and wanting, you're grinning, you're grinning and thinking, oh, if only I could have that adventure. But at the same time, you're slightly fearful as a child. Only a child could be, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But you do have this sense of adventure, and it is a joy to see. And many of you have the adventure of wanting to completely break out and do something, for example, going on a sailboat with very few friends for, say, a 2-week period, something you've never done. It is type of an adventure. The weather will not be the best, and it's always, you're never guaranteed a good time. Depends on the company. But it is an adventure, so others of you will be turning to areas of the world to travel to you've never been, but that will represent some kind of a danger element, in the Sahara during the very hot months and with very few supplies, a survival kit, that type of thing. Now, I don't see here in this month of July any ease of an experience. You don't want an easy job. You don't want something just to fall in your lap, Gemini. What I'm seeing here is that probably because of the period previous to prior to July, it seems as if you had been challenged for so much and so often that now you do want to maintain the air of challenge, but you want to do it in a more pleasurable way, in a way that you can enjoy. And it's interesting because many of you have plans. Okay, many of you do have plans. But the more you have planned, it seems, the more those plans may backfire on you. And if I can give you the advice of the cards, they're saying to me, do seek that element of adventure, something that is less planned. Say a 2-week, 1-week, 4-day, we don't know what's going to happen weekend. We don't know the sky's the limit. That will bring you in a place that is most favorable, that will have a most favorable return for you. And of course, there are a number of you that just would like to close the world out, and you do. But I'm getting fewer of you. I'm getting more. Doesn't even come to 20% that are in a mindset that you want to just put your feet up on the railing, sip some wine, martini, whatever it is, and watch the world go by because you've had enough from the past few months. And but there is the majority of you that really seek adventure. And again, those of you that will watch the world go by with your martini are similar to those of you who will let your mind do the traveling, okay? So these are different ways that they will play out because your mind, even if you're sitting there sipping your martini on your balcony, the mind is going to bring you through a number of different adventures. Now, this colorful, very colorful month for you, Gemini, is a month of relaxation. I don't see any difficulty here. It's basic relaxation, but it will slightly bring you out of your comfort zone and not all of you are in store for that, but there is, especially, you know, I keep saying, well, there's the middle part of the month where there is an area that will be challenging for you. It's sort of, you'll come into contact, say, with people who may challenge you out and out, meet people who rub you the wrong way, go down a road, you get lost, you know, something will challenge you, but it's very, very, very little. I mean, it's nothing to write home to mother for, and it's nothing to complain to a lawyer about. I mean, this is something, it's just something that will rain on your parade around mid-month, that's it. But for the rest of the month, what I'm seeing is here, you know, adventure in the mind, adventure in the boat, adventure in the mountains, you know, and conceiving is as if the Gemini for you, the thoughts, you know, really, it's a non-stop mind this month. If you can't make it up the hill, your mind goes there, you know. You're using your mind to fill in the gaps where your physical, you know, three-dimensional body just can't make it up that hill, you see. Let's see what adding the Angel Tarot does to this spread. Yeah, that challenge. Yeah, there is that challenge, and there is the challenge. I'm seeing quite a difficult challenge for you. The Angel Tarot, and I'll look at that right away, that are telling me that you're going to be up for a surprise, and it's that surprise that will become a challenge for you, in the sense that here you were, sipping a martini with your feet up on the rail in your balcony and watching the world go by, and then you'll be called into action. And instead of jumping into the action, you want your mind to fill in the gaps there. And instead, these Angel Tarot decks, the cards are saying that you're going to need to stand to the challenge, and don't see it as a burden. Don't view it as a negative burden. This is what the cards are telling. Let's go look. I'm going to look because there's a radical change here. Yeah, a radical change. A radical change that has to do with your, for many of you, your status, all right? You may become single after a time of marriage, okay? You have come out of a long illness, and now you're at home taking care, you know, just sneaking that martini on the balcony and not having anyone see you, you know. You that have you taking on the responsibility of a family, inner family or extended family, whereas others took care of that for you in the past. That's going to be the challenge. Your role in a family, in a society, in a immediate and extended family will be challenged. Let's get more information about that. Yes, it is. And the challenge comes in as a new, bringing in an element of newness that you're not prepared for. I can say that right off the bat, Gemini, you're not prepared for. It is something completely new, the Giovane Fanciulla, the Virgin of the deck, completely new. And what the cards are telling you is that you need to speak out and exchange what your feelings with other people. In order not to be overwhelmed by the element that arises, you need to express your ideas and talk about the newness so that you can govern it, control it, and have it come in and work toward your favor. Interesting that. You're being challenged, you're going to be asked to stand to the challenge and voice your opinion and get information that will help you stand to the challenge. Interesting. I'm going to see, before I go on with the Villa Sibilla, let me take a couple of runes on that. Yes, it has to do with the where you live, the area of your home, your tribe, you know, your inner circle of family and friends. It has to do with you sort of either, like I said, having to leave that group, striking out on your own, having had made the decision to separate from a partner or a companion, and it will be coming around now, that idea even to do it. It's not going to probably come to a head, but you're being called upon to face the issue that bothers you, that's worrying you. Last rune there is tear. You need to face it, and it's telling me that it's facing it that will solve it. That's what it's saying. I'm going to now look at the excitement, this wild vacation, this adventure vacation, and why it could be. It seems that it is brought upon from a burden. You've been overburdened in the past and you want to strike out. What do I have? Yes, okay. Again, you're being called upon. Il messaggero, consolante sorpresa, these two. You're being called upon to face an issue that you've set aside and that has been worrying you, so much so that it compromises your month, the month of July. It may compromise the enjoyment of your adventure, and it's calling upon you to face that. Let me take the Vida Sibylla on the entrance cards, this Three of Wands. I have a Three of Wands here and a Congo Hunsis, which does talk about the beginning phases of ushering new changes in, and you standing firm with this three. Let's see. Okay, I've got malinconia, sospiri, malinconia, sospiri and vecchia signora. It's as if the entrance cards are saying, yes, I'm at a point in my life where I can say, there's something I can speak, I look at things that are around me, my friends, family, my work, my loved ones. I have something to speak for myself. I think that expression, I'm using it wrong, but there is something that I have achieved. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. However, there is a hint of sadness here, because there is that issue that you're not facing yet, as of yet, you haven't faced. And you're still thinking, what should I do? Okay, this is the entrance card. These are the entrance cards. What shall I do with that? Know that the turn of events will be positive, that you're in for a positive change with La Vecchia Signora. I'm going to go to here the moon card. I have a moon card here and the Congo 2 Granibo card, the sort of sipping martini here on, it's as if you want to take a stop. You want to, stop the world, let me get off for a second so I could think. And you want to try to imagine what those elements are that are behind the scenes that you just don't see. This is what you're contemplating with these two cards. Let's see what the Sibylla tell us. You are contemplating this, all right, il letterato, and you are, instead of wanting to, there are, like I said, there are people who are going to take that cruise, 2-week cruise, the adventure and the whole bit. But here I'm seeing that most likely, and I did talk about 60%, there are those of you who will stay put and see where you have to turn next. Where shall I go next? As if there are two Gemini, and that's, that's redundant. There are two of you, that one wants to go on a wild vacation. There's a wild vacation. Let's go on a wild vacation. And it's an escape mechanism. And then there's the other of you who just wants to recoil, stop the world. I want to get off. And you need the time, the alone time, in order to understand what has happened to you of late. What occurred so far to you? Because the pace in your life so far was so much, so heightened that it wasn't possible for you to take care of detail, to look at what was in between the lines. And you really want to do that in the month of July. Let me take some more runes on these the first two entry cards and the martini. Hold on. Interesting. All right. Again, they're highlighting the fact that you need to face the issues that are troubling you. You really do. And because trouble it is, I have here, I have Unyo Merkstave. And if you do, and should you, accept the mission, the challenge, there are two messages, contrasting messages with these runes. On the one hand, they say, yes, you don't, it's worrying you, fine, but it's urgent, weird. You have to solve this problem as best you can. And if it means to you sitting on your balcony with a martini and thinking it out, and that may then bring you to a solution, do it. But you have to face that. That's what they're saying. The message here is you have to face that challenge. You have to solve the issue that you've been, putting on the back burner. And again, I get, just like Tyr in the other casting, I have here the elements of success. I have the elements of success. There's any way you cut it, you give something, you face something, but you are given something, a peace of mind, an elevated spirit. It's interesting that when I work with people, a lot of, I find myself often saying you really do need to take responsibility for your actions. And it's not only taking responsibility here for your actions, it's actually wanting to see them, actually wanting to revisit what has occurred, that you're sort of shying away from. But it's been spelled out in so many ways. Here you have the element of success in your pocket if you face up to that, when you face up to that, because I'm getting that you cannot let it go any longer. Because typically when you have a chance like this, when you have the moment, I have quite frankly, I have here the Death card and the Tower, okay? And they are calling upon you to stand to the challenge and, grab it, and take it in your hand, in your control. And you can do that once you face the challenge and view it in detail and understand what has happened and how it can be remedied, what your position in that, what your role was in what has occurred. Now, I'm going to let it at that, Gemini friends. Far from being ominous, this is there's the Moon card as well. This is a card of change. This is also a card that hides from us information that you're not seeing, and that has to be seen, has to be pondered, has to be meditated upon. You really would do well to sit up with your feet, and the martini, and take it in review one at a time, Gemini friends. Namaste. I hope this was of help to you. Have a great July. And for those of you in the United States, have a wonderful 4th of July. Bye-bye.